Ava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Paradhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Paradhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Paradhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Paradhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahang Sipar Vrajacharyas. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Shishi Radha Radhanath Ki, Sri Giri Govardhan Ki, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki, Go Premanande. All glories to their Sama devotees. All glories to their Sama devotees. All glories to their Sama devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Can everyone hear okay? Yeah? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. So devotees, today is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very auspicious and wonderful day. We see his picture is on the Vyasa sand there on the left side where Tulsi normally is. I assume we'll be having Pushpanjali, in the middle of the day, maybe 12 or 12:30, perhaps 12:30, something like that. And now what we'll do, and of course we're fasting, till midday. Prasadam will be served after the Pushpanjali, I assume. So what we will do now, we will recite some of the glories of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, some biographical information. It's his appearance day, so we'll focus on those things that we're aware of that happened in his childhood, in his youth, in his earlier days, and just see how far we get. To do a complete biographical type of presentation would take a long time, but at least the earlier years like that we will look at. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was one of the children of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our great acharyas in our line. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was preaching, He was multilingual. He was preaching in different languages. He wrote books in English, and some of them were sent to universities in the Western world. And of course, Bengali he wrote a lot in. And he was trying to establish and present the movement of Lord Caitanya. But in order to really develop that, he was praying to Lord Caitanya, praying to Lord Krishna, please send someone who can assist. He was praying, please send a ray of Vishnu. Means a special, empowered devotee who's going to be able to help to spread Krishna consciousness. So we understand, and it's very clear from his activities, that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur appeared in answer to that prayer, because there's no doubt he was very special, empowered devotee who did so much for spreading Krishna consciousness, even in his very early days, and what to speak of his adult days. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta appeared in this world on February the 6th, 1874. So that means, well, that's almost 150 years ago, 148 years ago, he appeared. And he was, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's family, he was the sixth child in a family of 13. Now anyway, that's the situation. And he was the fourth of 8 sons, and the third son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's second wife. His first wife passed away in her early years, and he remarried one devotee, Vaishnavi, Srimati Bhagavati Devi. And there's famous story that when he actually appeared, like at that moment, his umbilical cord was around his neck and across his chest like a Brahmin thread, so to speak. And that mark, it left a mark which remained clearly visible throughout his life. Throughout his life, one could see when his chest was exposed and his neck, one could see the line from the umbilical cord. So that was February the 6th. Then a very important and famous incident took place on the Jagannath Rath Yatra day the same year, which is, it's normally, of course, it fluctuates because they follow the lunar calendar, but usually it's in June, sometimes it's in July. Yes, so it means that at that time he was 5 months old or something along those lines, just a little boy. And Bhagavati Devi, his mother, well, the Rathayatra cart of Jagannath somehow or other stopped in front of their house, the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is still there, and it's a temple now. It's quite a nice temple now. And it's only, if you've been there, you'd know it's on the left-hand side as you're going from the main entrance into the Jagannath temple. It's on the left-hand side, and, well, you could measure it on Google Earth, but it's probably 200 meters. It might be 300. I don't think it's more than 300. It's not far at all from the entrance of the Jagannath temple, which is where the Rathayatra, the actual procession, starts every year. So the chariot of Lord Jagannath got just to that point, just 200 or 300 meters, and somehow or other it stopped and it wouldn't move. And they tried, of course, to somehow or other get a whole team of strong men to just pull it, but it wouldn't move. For 3 days it remained there. And the devotees put a sort of ladder or step type of arrangement up on Lord Jagannath's chariot, so just there on the street people could come up and have darshan of Lord Jagannath, just like really face to face. So Bhagavati Devi, she took little Bhaktisiddhanta and carried him up those stairs and placed him at the lotus feet of Jagannath. And then famously, well, she touched his head to the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. As she did that, a garland fell over the body of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And people saw this, everyone was just elated, because if a garland falls, or if just a flower or some flowers fall from the deity, it's accepted as being auspicious. You know, if you're thinking of something in front of the deities, and as you're thinking of this, you know, something like, I'd like to distribute lots of Prabhupada's books, and then a flower falls at that moment, then you know the deity is agreeing. Not just agreeing, but giving blessing. Yes, do it, and I will empower you, I will help you. So, yeah, it's said that if a flower or some flowers or even a garland falls, it's very auspicious. But if some piece of jewelry, something of that sort falls, then it's inauspicious, so they say. But anyway, this was taken to be very auspicious. So everyone who was there on the spot was just very excited and happy. The same day, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur arranged for the first grains ceremony, Annaprashna, first grains ceremony for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And as we said, you know, it's like he's 5 months old, or 4.5 to 5 months, something like that. So first grains. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for his first grains, got him some of the Maha Prasadam from Bimala Devi in the Jagannath temple. In the Jagannath temple, if you've ever been in there, which I have not, because they have very staunch apartheid standards, very staunch. One time, first time we went, I went to Puri, 79. A group of us, we thought, they won't stop us. Why would they stop us? So we decided just to walk up and walk in. And we got to about, say 10 or 15 meters from the main entrance, and these security men with guns and big wooden staffs came, and it was obvious that they meant business. So we didn't go any further. But anyway, inside there are many temples, like sub-temples, little shrines and temples of different demigods, demigodesses, and so on. And there's a temple of Bimala Devi. And Bimala Devi is very special. She is Yoga Maya in Jagannath Puri. They worship her as Durga, but actually she's Yoga Maya, the presiding deity of the internal energy in Jagannath Puri. And when the Bhoga offering has been done to Jagannath Baladev Subhadra in the main temple, then they take out the prasadam, and the first Maha Prasadam is then taken and offered to Bimala Devi, Yoga Maya. And then it becomes Maha Prasadam, and it's known as Bimala Prasad. So little Bhaktisiddhanta was given first grains, Bimala Prasad, Maha Jagannath Prasad. And he was then Shri Radha Radhanath Shri Giri Govardhan Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. So then he was given the name Bimala Prasad, and that was his name up until the time he was initiated by Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So in his childhood, there are a few events. Another famous event when he was 3, during the summer. So he had just turned 3, because summer there means May, June, April, May, June, up to July, something like that. So in India, that is the mango season. And particularly in those days, mangoes were just growing just wild and just everywhere. And everyone had mango trees, and there were just mango trees just growing. And so there were so many mangoes available that people were just giving them away. You didn't have to buy mangoes during the mango season. And every family they'd have, a whole lot of mangoes. And every family in their main room, like the living room, sitting room, they'd have a bowl on the table with mangoes. And whoever came by, particularly the children, as they're running by, playing or whatever, they just grab a mango and off they'd go and eat the mango. So one day, on the table in their living room there, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had placed one very nice mango, which he was going to offer to the family deities on the family altar. But young Bimal Prasad, age 3, just 3 years and a few months, he saw this mango on the table as he had seen many mangoes before, and he thought, oh, I can just help myself. So he did. He took that mango and started eating, and while he was in the middle of the process of eating the nice mango, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came in and saw and stopped him and told him that oh, this was to be offered to the deity, but you have just taken it and started eating. Srila Prabhupada says, describing this incident, Srila Prabhupada says that Bhaktivinoda Thakur mildly chastised him, that you have done a wrong thing. You must not do this again. So on the spot, at 3 years of age, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Bimal Prasad took a vow that he would never eat mango again for the rest of his life. And he upheld that vow. So, of course, he's just a child, 3 years old. We all know what 3-year-old children are like. They're just really so undeveloped. But he took that vow, he upheld that vow. And whenever he would be offered mangoes, which would happen regularly because, like we said, there are just so many mangoes, he would recite the Ishopanishad verse, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena chaktena bunjita magrada kasyasvid danam. Everything within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Therefore one should accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So he would do like this, and people, if they tried to really get him to accept a mango, he'd tell them, no, I cannot. I am an offender. So that was one very important incident. Prabhupada talks about that. There's a famous class of Srila Prabhupada's on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's disappearance day, in which Prabhupada tells this story and a number of others. Yeah. So by the time he was 7, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita. How many verses do you know? 5. How many verses do you know? How many? Not sure. So many. Not sure. Lost count. Anyway, there's 700. Bhagavad Gita is exactly 700 verses. He had memorized all of them by the time he was 7. He had memorized them and could explain them very nicely at the age of 7. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as we said, he had a very large family, really very large family, and not all of them really became devotees, but one other, the very youngest, also became a devotee and in due course became quite a prominent devotee, Lalita Prasad Das. But he took to the Babaji line. He took to one of the Babaji lines, and he was not a preacher at all. There are photos of Prabhupada meeting him. He was still living up into the 1970s sometime. Lalita Prasad, youngest son of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his temple is area. Of course, it's a different line, and there are significant differences between Ramanuja's line and our line, but there are also many similarities, and initiation, the phenomenon of initiation or initiations is there. One of Ramanuja's main disciples, who was really into deity worship and different sort of ceremonial functions, yagyas and things, he was given something like 23 initiations, but most of them, they're just in terms of a particular ceremony. To enter into the ceremony, you got to be prepared through a type of initiation. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave Bimal Prasad some type of initiation, not like our first initiation as we get as Prabhupada practiced, and as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta did receive from Gokishore Das Babaji in due course, but some type of initiation, and then entrusted that deity to Bimal Prasad for worshipping at the age of 7. So from the age of 7, well, that deity is in the temple at the birthplace of Lord Caitanya. And if you ask the pujaris, they bring the deity out so you can see. A small deity like this. Right, so from the age of 7, Bimal Prasad would himself apply tilak on his body and follow other standard practices of Vaishnavism. At the age of 7, Bhaktivinoda Thakur made the chanting of japa compulsory for Bimal Prasad. You know, compared to our children, I think that's quite unusual. I mean, some children, when they're 7, they chant a bit, sometimes, and other times not. But Bimal Prasad, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he was regularly chanting japa. We don't know exactly how many rounds specifically, but he was regularly chanting a certain number of rounds from the age of 7. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a special set of tulsi beads. They were in Calcutta. They were living in Calcutta. But he had a special set of tulsi beads brought for Bimal Prasad from Jagannath Puri. And he initiated him, as we said, that type of initiation, and instructed him regularly on chanting and on Krishna consciousness. So from that time, just 7 years old, it really became clear that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was not an ordinary child. You know, we've just mentioned a few things now, memorizing Bhagavad Gita, the incident with the mango, the age of 3. Now he's just completely into worshipping Lord Kurma, and doing it properly, not like with many children. I'm sure some of you have seen, we give them soft toys of Radha and Krishna. I have a few soft toy Govardhan Shilas for giving to children to just encourage them. But he, at the age of 7, he was doing these things and regularly chanting japa. And of course he could read. He could read. And as he gradually, step by step, became a little older, into his teenage years, he developed a really voracious reading habit. And he showed a particular quality, a particular characteristic which remained with him, and he was very famous for throughout his life. He could recall anything which he had read even once. He could recall it verbatim, even 50 years later, having read it once at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that. He could recall it verbatim on any subject, any verse, any statement in Shastra, but just anything which he had encountered and read. And this, because of this, he was given the sort of the title or sort of nickname, you could say, living encyclopedia. So as a child, just growing up school age and going to school, he really didn't, he was not interested at all in associating with other children of his age and the usual childish activities of usually playing different games of different sorts. This characteristic he shared with, there are different examples. Prabhupada himself, Srila Jiva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit, these great devotees, they wouldn't just play with their friends. He was not interested in associating with other children his age unless they were interested in spiritual matters. And he would spend a lot of his time reading the songbooks of Narottam Das Thakur, Prarthana, Prema Bhakti Chandrika. They're the two main songbooks of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And he was developing into a very discerning Vaishnav. Once, somewhere, a famous Babaji was in the area, very famous, and people would come and, really make a big fuss about this famous Babaji, offer him obeisances, give him things, and glorify him, and beg for blessings, all these things. So Bimal Prasad was standing there watching. He sort of approached, and he's just standing there looking at the Babaji. And he didn't offer his obeisances. Everybody else is just offering obeisances. And the Babaji asked, "Why are you not offering obeisances?" And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Bimal Prasad replied, "Because I don't offer obeisances to sahajiyas." That's really to the point. So in 1888, he started studying astronomy. And by the time he reached the age of 15, which would be, what would it be? It would be 1889, I guess. He so impressed his school teachers who were teaching him astronomy that they gave him the name Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. So he got that name, which, is obviously very closely related to his sannyas name. He got that in 1888. In 1893, means he's now 19, he published a version of Surya Siddhanta, which is the oldest existing traditional Vedic book on astronomy. And in the introduction, he chastised the astronomers of the day, who he really didn't take seriously. Listen to this. At present, the majority of persons reputed as learned are averse to Shastric understanding. He's talking about those reputed to be learned in astronomy. They shamelessly promote themselves as knowledgeable in Shastra, even if totally unaware of its contents. The disease has taken the form of inordinate desire for honor. This evil has engulfed the Jyoti Tirthas, that means the experts on astronomy, or so-called supposed experts. And as a result, their work is incomplete and short-sighted. This is from his introduction to his Suryasiddhanta. I have brought out this translation of Sri Suryasiddhanta with the hope of attracting the attention of really intelligent thinkers toward the study of astronomy. The Jyotiya Tirthas, means those people who are supposedly experts on astronomy, spend most of their time busily expanding their bellies and have completely stopped cultivating the complex knowledge of mathematical astronomy received in Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara. Well, I mentioned one of the other days that there are all sorts of paramparas. There are astronomical paramparas. There are Shivite paramparas. This is a standard system, that there's a lineage of teacher to disciple, who then becomes teacher and then imparts the knowledge, whatever the knowledge is, to disciples. Dronacharya was the military guru of the Pandavas. So like this, he chastised, in the introduction of his book, he chastised the bogus astronomers. Then in 1892, so he is now 18, am I right? I think around 18. He entered the Calcutta Sanskrit College, and he formed a society amongst, like a school society amongst the boys, the students, called the Chira Kumara Sabha, the Association of Lifelong Brahmacharis, or lifelong bachelors, also called the August Assembly. And all the members who ever wanted to become a member of this association, they had to take a vow of celibacy, that they are determined to avoid the entanglement in family affairs. However, as time went on, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was the only member to maintain that vow throughout his life. So, during his school holidays, Bimal Prasad would study the Vedas under a famous Pandit, Prithvishvara Sharma, who also tutored him in the grammatical work Siddhanta Kaumudi. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta completed the study of the book in 3 months. and was able to memorize the section on Sunday in 3 days. Now a lot of you may not really be familiar with Sunday. Sunday means how generally, mainly the endings of Sanskrit words change in terms of the first letter of the next word. So therefore, for example, we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Namo, it's actually the nominative case, which is the basic case. It's Namaha. So, in a sense, it's Om Namaha Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But Aha, when the first letter of the next word is Ba, B-H, Ba, Aha becomes O. So therefore we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Or, what is it? Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namaha is the correct, because it's nominative case. So it's saying Namaha, Namaha. But when Aha, the Visarga, meets an N, first word of the next letter, the Aha becomes O. So it's Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo, but then Namaha. Because when there's nothing, when the last word ends with Aha, it remains Aha. Anyway, and there are hundreds of rules. It's very complex. It's really very complex. He memorized it all in 3 days. Sunday. And his teacher, Pandit Sharma, cautioned him, "You should not finish the study of Sunday so quickly. It took me a long time." In Benares, scholars go through Panini's grammar during their whole life. Whoever continuously studies Panini attains liberation upon dying. Panini was a big Sanskritist from some time, not from the Vedic times, but from a few hundred years ago. So some of these people, the man was saying, they study it just for their whole lives, because the grammar is so fantastically complex. So he told Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, you should, don't think you know it after 3 days. Carry on. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta replied, "Then, from today, I reject you. The goal of my life is neither mastery of grammar nor liberation, but worship of Krishna and developing love for him. I've studied the Vedas and their branches and their different parts only in a secondary way." So in the end, at the Sanskrit college, he got into a clash with the head of the astronomy department. And there was an official debate between Bimal Prasad, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and the head of the astronomy department on different astronomical matters. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta completely defeated him. But then he got into such a, a strained relationship with the teachers that he just left the college. And he said, this is interesting, considering that if I were to remain attentively studying at college, I would be browbeaten to enter family life, but that if I were perceived as a foolish good-for-nothing, then no one would put such an inducement upon me for becoming engaged in worldly advancement. I left the Sanskrit college, and to maintain my life for service to the Lord, I sought an honest occupation with a modest income. So actually Srila Bhaktisiddhanta worked for 10 years. He worked. He got a job and worked. From 1895 to 1905, he worked for the kings of Tripura, which is one of the old states of India on the eastern side. And he ended up as the overseer of the Tripura government secretariat in Calcutta. But the office politics were just so crazy that he gradually, from around 1900, 1901, he just gradually disentangled himself from his job and finally resigned in 1905. In 1897, means he's about 24, he started observing Chaturmasya, and he would follow the system of eating known as Gograsa, which means eating like a cow, eating directly from the ground with no plate, by sitting and leaning forward, not using the hands, just eating with the mouth, eating no more after sitting up again. So during Chaturmasya, 4 months, he would eat like that, and he would not shave, he would not cut his nails, and he would sleep on bare earth in a hut with no bedding at all, not even with a straw mat. So when he was 25, in January 1900, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur requested him to take initiation from Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And, it's an interesting story. I imagine you've heard the story before. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta thought, yeah, okay. And, he thought it was sort of like a formality. I'll go there, okay. Will you please give me initiation? Yes. And there you go. But, and because he understood, he knew he was extremely qualified in many ways. So he went to ask. This was in Navadvip. So Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj had a reputation for just practically angrily refusing people if they came and asked for initiation. And even there were occasions when people came and asked for initiation, and he chased them away and hit them with his umbrella, gave them a whack. So he also declined Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and he told him that I once accepted a disciple, but he cheated me and went away. So I will not take any further disciples. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was really taken aback by that, because Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was very close to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They would spend time together regularly, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would be there and would serve Gaurkishore Das Babaji. So therefore, as we mentioned, he had assumed that he would just give him initiation and that would be that. But he was refused. So he went back, because he was living with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He went back and told him, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, no, you must go back and ask again. So a few days later, he went back and he came and begged in a very humble mood, please be merciful and give me initiation. And Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj responded, I will ask Mahaprabhu. If he gives his permission, your request will be granted. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he heard that, he was encouraged. It sounds better. So a few days later, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta went back and asked, what was the order of Mahaprabhu? And Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj replied, oh, I forgot to ask. So he came back again after a few times and asked, so what did Mahaprabhu say? And Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, I asked him, but he did not give an answer. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was just devastated. And he spoke the verse, a verse from a famous song of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Karuna nahaile kandiya kandiya, prana na rakibo ara. Without your mercy, weeping and weeping, I will no longer sustain my life. I will give up my life. So when Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj saw that extreme determination of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he agreed. And he initiated him and gave him the name. What was the name? Shivashabhanabi Devi Dayataya Das, which basically means the recipient of the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Vashabhanabi, Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. So Srila Prabhupada said, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to accept Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj as his spiritual master, that you go and take your initiation from Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta thought that I am a great scholar and I'm son of a magistrate, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's a great Vaishnav. Srila Gaurkishore will be very much pleased to accept me. This is Prabhupada speaking. Of course he was very much pleased, but in the beginning he refused. He refused because, of course, that is only show. He was not proud, Bhaktisiddhanta. He was not proud. But just to teach us, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explained, I was a little proud, so I was thrice refused by Guru Maharaj, although he was the only disciple. So, we've sort of run out of time. I could just mention Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave glorifications of Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who was completely illiterate. He could not read or write his own name. I can conclude by just reading a little of his glorification of Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. I had considered my Gurudev to be unequaled in vairagya, renunciation, but somewhat short of learning. But he reduced to powder my audacity born of book learning. With the mallet of his mercy, he revealed that whatever I had adjudged to be the highest ideal was in fact most low and despicable. When by his grace that instruction first entered my ears, my diminutive brain lacked the capacity to accommodate such transcendental knowledge. But to all fools like me, he gave the chance to hear such lofty topics. My Gurudev told me, my Gurudev mercifully told me, reject your knowledge, purity, and aristocracy and come close to me. Don't go anywhere else. Whatever you require, as many rooms, houses, palaces, and mansions, as much scholarship, skills, self-control, and renunciation you will get. Simply come close to me. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ke. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ke. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ke. Gaur Premanande. So there you go, devotees. I don't recall it being announced, and I'm just assuming, but I think I'm right. There'll be Pushpa Puja at 11:45. Pushpanjali Pushpa Puja, 11:45 here. Hare Krishna.